Hello, everybody. Welcome to Highway of the Hidden. I'm your host, Polar Bear. On tonight, we got a special guest, Gio. Gio, how you doing, brother?
Hey, what's going on, guys? What's going on? Polar Bear, I like that. I know I was introduced to you by a colleague of ours, and when I first texted you, I called you by your first name.
Yeah, I try to use my first name, and then when we get on air, I'll use Polar Bear just to kind of,
No, I
hide it a
like
little
that. I
bit.
like I like I like Polar Bear. I like
Y-
that. You messaged me back, and you were like, "Yeah, this is Polar Bear."
Yeah, that's what they started calling me at work, and then kind of stuck. So I was like, huh, at work, that's a perfect alias for what I do,
Hey, yeah.
especially reaching the waters, man. So, how long have you been I call it a truth seeker. Most people call it conspiracy, but I call it truth seeking, man, because we know what's really going on. When did you get introduced to it? Let me start that way.
We're in the yeah. I like that you said that. Right? It's like you feel like you're kind of walking amongst another crowd after that. You just
Oh,
feel like
yeah.
you're aware of. You feel like you're aware and you're in the know, right?
Hmm.
It feels better. I think I've been doing that, been trying to seek truth because we've been being deceived for years, right? But
Right.
I mean, goodness, it can date back to our parents, bro. It's horrible. But no, I've been doing that kind of searching. I think after I've taken my first trip of psychedelics, it had to be a breakdown of the mind. I know that for a fact because I've been breaking my brain down probably around 17, man. 17, yeah, 17 years old, looking at everything I can on the internet that we had.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
32.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm 34. So, yeah, once you broke that barrier, man, that was it. There was no going back for you.
And you kind of don't talk about it to a lot of people in the beginning, and then you just find your group, you find your people. So,
Hmm. Yeah, you find the ones that'll connect with you, and then you realize that I think there's more out there than what there are, but I think they're just scared to say something because they don't want to get labeled as crazy or get made fun of. And me, I don't care. You say what you want. I know what's really going
don't
on.
even care. I don't care,
Right?
bro. You know what I do? I mean, I haven't done it a lot, but man, if I see something just posted, I'm the guy that has to kind of challenge the narrative. So I am that figure out here in the civilized world,
Mhm.
right? What do you call it? Whatever you call this that we're living in. I'm that I'm the oddball, right? I like to stir it because I don't agree with everybody's
Right?
thoughts.
You broke through the
But
matrix mold.
it's their opinions though, man. I've realized you got to respect opinions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. What's one of your favorite like that you kind of broke out into like one of yours? Mine was the JFK thing, and that kind of took it off from there for me.
Your JFK. Man, you know what? I really want to hear more about JFK. I know I looked into it and I seen that it was all planned, right? But really want to be able to, because I know that there was on the, man, I don't even want to break into that, bro. I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole.
Hey,
No,
that's what it's all about.
what I, what I like, man, is I like understanding the narrative of NWO.
Yes,
Un-
yes.
understanding understanding what has been being in the works since early 50s and 60s, right?
Hmm.
It's like when they started testing and doing projects, it's just like your mind starts to warp, man. And um when did we land on the moon? When was that?
Sometime in the '60s, I want to say, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, right.
supposedly,
It's
yeah,
like it's like, man, your digital contrast is amazing. Great.
right,
No, man. Yeah, it goes far, brother.
yeah. And the funny thing about the moon landing is, from what I've researched, and I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of people like, no, that's not true, but I don't give a shit. So at the time of the black and white or the night camera, night vision, there was only one. And I want to say, like, when the moon landing happening, that camera was in Hollywood when the whole
Oh
thing was
wow.
recorded. Yeah. And
I never looked into it like that.
yeah, that was like, that was very touching the surface for me when I very first started looking into it. And then it just went, now I'm all like you. I'm like, New World Order, and which they're in now, what the times were now, New World Order, shrinking the
Yeah.
population and pushing the agendas that
Oh
they're
yeah.
pushing and all that. And it's crazy. And man, I don't know what's going to happen, but a lot of stuff's coming out, and I think more and more people are seeing it, especially with these. What was it? The Epstein Island thing came out first, and now,
There's a lot of different things coming out. You know what's funny? It's like I'm sure you see it. I'm glad I'm talking to somebody because I mentioned it today or yesterday. I said, they're really preparing us for the discovery and disclosure of because I've actually kind of got deep into things. Been told that these next 5 years are going to be years because by 2030, that's where the agenda meets.
right.
So it was a 30-year agenda, and apparently it started what in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know a little bit, but man, it's interesting. They've been building up the momentum to even explain that we've been living amongst ET, right? That we've been
Right.
living, um, you know, cohabiting. When we think, a lot of folks just really like to think on their 9 to 5 regulatory
Mm-hmm.
schedule. They've been so their pineal gland has been so diluted or something or
Right.
whatever the fuck we've been drinking and eating for the last years of our lives.
Right.
Just talking about it with Machete, our mutual partner and friend. I'm in his restaurant right now and I see him chopping up meat. I go, man, I have a hard time looking at poultry now in the grocery stores. I have a hard time looking at meat. I've just seen so many different processes that we don't even, bro, if you're not cooking, if you're not breeding your own cows, or if you're not growing your own food within the next 20 years or less, I really don't know what we're eating.
Right. I was reading a book, and they were talking
I
about
really
that.
don't know.
Yeah, they
I don't
talk
even know.
about the
I don't know.
process, man. It's
It's
crazy.
just,
The bioengineered, the lab grown meat that they're doing now, and
with the glue, whatever that white powder
yeah,
that they'll rub in there, stick it together. Fuck,
and
dude.
there's no way a chicken should be that big. Because you go get a
No,
chicken off somebody's farm, it ain't that big. But
no.
they,
Well,
but
you also could tell the hormones, right? You can tell.
yeah,
You can tell in people. Like you and I are around the same age, bro. People were not. You didn't have 15, 16 year olds looking like they're 24 going on
no,
30.
no, we
you,
looked
you look
weird in
at me,
middle
I'm
school,
32. I still look
man.
like a fucking youngin.
Right? We all looked weird in school, man. We didn't look like grown ass adults in middle school, and it blows my mind, man, that's just the process and stuff that they're pumping into the antibiotics and the hormones, and then they say, oh, and the people that believe that the government is for us, it blows my mind. It's like, do your
Oh my
research.
god. Yeah. Yep. Well, I've been getting pretty. I'm 32, man, and I'll admit I started getting deeper into. I was raised Christian,
Mhm.
and after learning that your life's been being lied to, right? And I just continuously, I still follow that foundation, but
Right.
I test a lot. I test a lot. I test a lot of what gets said these days. Um, the Bible is a strong foundation of truth. That's one
Hmm.
thing I've actually found out. Like through my discovery and different discoveries, it's just, the Bible actually tells you verbatim there was giants on this planet.
Right. Yeah. The Nephilim. Yeah.
It tells you verbatim that we live in a firmament.
Hmm. Yeah.
And whether it was an Anunnaki god or anybody that is spiritually awakened that gave us that knowledge, whether it could be our Jesus Christ, which he got the knowledge from our God.
Right.
So when you really think about it, man, all form of knowledge, it does get processed through our brain, but this is just a conductor.
Hmm.
Like where was the core? And that's where it's God, right? I am. You figure out what those words are, it's just like, whoa. there's a lot, man. I might be touching nerves on that, but it just goes deep, bro. It goes deep. I love the foundation that Christianity has built for me and how
Hmm.
I can like build my life from that. But I also I go deeper, right? Okay, God, who is the creator? And then I look at different options that it could be. And man, unfortunately, a lot of it falls down to maybe we were ET. Maybe we are a form of ET.
Interesting way. Yeah.
Maybe maybe we are those gold miners that I read about. Right?
Right.
Apparently, human beings may have been created by those spiritually knowledgeable some God. And this was apparently because it's another form, it's another truth, it's another maybe, right? But apparently we were created to mine for gold. Like that was all we were put on. When I think about that, it's like, wow, bro. Like we wouldn't know until some appearance and some confirmation gets brought to that. But I like to think of God as somebody who we can trust, somebody who is on our side,
Hmm.
somebody who, something, somewhere, right? Universe that just gives you that sense of good. Yeah, that sense of good. I've actually been told a story because the way I speak to you right now, I've talked many, many, many of conversations to my mother.
Right.
My mother finally admitted to some stories with me the other day. I'd say the other day, this was like 4 months ago. 4 months ago, maybe in January, February. But she told me, you know what, baby, let me tell you something. You, she made it feel like, hey, I'm not losing it, right? She goes, listen, when I was pregnant with you, and this is why I believe in star children, star seeds,
Hmm.
beings that are on this planet, human beings on this planet that were here for a bigger purpose, right?
Right.
Like, and you're not gonna give up until you reach that purpose, whether it be helping others, letting kindness be shown, and carrying an energy that is just gravitational because you're inviting, right? Those kinds
Right.
of purposes, bro. Those kinds of deeper purposes, not all about me, 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 but it's like, so anyways, let me get to the story, man. It blew my mind. Didn't really blow my mind. Something in me always told me, like, hey, I may have been put here on this planet for some divine reason. I may have not been a chosen one, but I can be a divine child. And this is what I mean. So my mother was pregnant with me in her belly. She was 18 years old, she told me, living with my deceased grandfather, rest in peace, and my grandmother still alive. Okay, living in their home. Now, when I was growing up, they still own this property to today. They lived in a funeral home
Oh
slash
wow.
service home. When you go see the dead body and
Right.
actually, hey, give your service to, right, before you lead off. Um, this was a location to do that. And in the back of the house, they lived at a 3 bedroom, 3 bath, 3 floors kind of a building. Um, this was in Guatemala City, Guatemala, Central America. Okay, you can think about this probably. My mom had me later, probably like 1990, 1991. So she ended up telling me that one night there was a beam of light, and I've actually looked into different stories from other people that have talked about, you know, uh, that kind of that kind of dimension where they've reached that they were able to feel that energy and feel that light, but it was good. That's what my mom told me, man. My mom told me that a bright light came into her bedroom, but she wasn't scared. She wasn't scared, and she felt at peace. She said she felt so good, bro. This is my mother.
Yeah.
Let me give you some background. My mom's a um, very human person, like people person. She's a people's people. She right now currently her profession is she takes care of the elderly at the nursing home she's a manager of. So she
Okay.
actually makes sure that they're okay, that they have their medicines. She has all her staff taking care of their duties uh, here in League City. So, man, she's always been around death and always been around life. She sees both sides of what could be,
Right.
for this flesh that we walk around in. But man, she had a beam of light enter her bedroom, and this is not the trippy part. It's gonna get weirder, man. But tell me if you've heard stories like this, okay? Because I've read stories like this before. My mother's told me this story. I've read into stories like this about people speaking about their experience with the fourth kind or with whatever kind of
Right.
energy of. Anyways, this came into her room, not a physical body, not a light, and it bared across her bed, and it started to. She was in this position, wasn't able to move. Okay, you know, sleep paralysis position, but this was a beam of light. A lot of people talk about sleep paralysis being so evil, right? And they're scared and
Right.
they prayed about it. They prayed to go away. Man, my mom loved this, bro, and it was inviting to her so much. My mother said that she was, and this is going to sound so weird, but we talk like this, man. We're real.
Right.
Said she was leaking from down there
Oh
in a
wow.
positive way. It wasn't her water broke. It wasn't nothing like that.
Right.
This energy, it made her feel safe and warm, and then it gave her like a sexual pleasure, brother.
Right.
This happened. I don't know how long. She said it could have been 20, 30 minutes. She doesn't even know how long.
Oh damn.
When it was done, she was able to move. She got out of bed. Like, what the fuck? My bed is soaking. I'm wet. She had to clean herself up, take a shower. But she was like, what the fuck was that experience?
Yeah.
And, bro, I believe that there's other forces in this universe that if they do that to a woman that's of a good soul, my mom is a freaking phenomenal soul to this universe. She's an angel.
Right.
Okay, that's what I would describe her as. She cares about others before herself for everything. Her family, society, strangers. Um, I believe that there was a good force, and I like to call it an angel, gave some kind of energy to my mother to the point where it possibly fed off into her embryo.
Right.
My father was a piece of shit. The guy that was the seed that
Mhm.
created this embryo, he actually murdered my brother, my younger brother, at a young
Oh,
age.
oh
I
wow.
was probably like 2.5 in the crib right next to him. He was probably like like a year old, 12, like 11 months old. Yeah, so there was already one death in my youth, which I don't know whether my father was being told to kill this baby or not. But
Yeah.
bro, I'm a special. I like to think of myself as a special person in this planet, just like everybody else.
All right.
But I don't know, man. It's like I'm supposed to be here to complete a role in my life. And I'm finding that out every day. I'm actually in real estate. I'm an investor, but I help people more than anything, dude. Like, we lose money because I help people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But man, like, it is what it is. It's like, I know it's more than just that for my life. I want to do philanthropy work, right, where I'm really putting a hand in my youth and everybody that's around me. I talk this kind of life into people all the time. Like if I
Right.
could have people think differently for a little bit, and I talk this way with our boy Machete, which is probably why he told you to get me on,
Yeah.
because I open his brain up to a lot of different possibilities, man. Um, I tell him that he's a beacon in this world as well, right? Other star children that are here on this planet, we're here for we were meant to be here for a big cause, and it's our position in life to discover that cause. You may
Right.
be in the same boat. I don't know you personally, right? But my friends around me, I can count them, and bro, they are all special in their own way. They are all business owners or entrepreneurs in their own
Hmm.
way, and that's just what I surround myself with.
Right.
Yeah,
Surround yourself with positivity.
I surround myself with. It ain't even a positive note. It's just people that I see that are so real to who they are, right, and what
Right.
they believe in. And man, when you carry that right there, you stand for something. You have a purpose. You won't fall for everything.
Right. You stand on what you believe in, and
Yeah.
I think that's what drew me into this whole conspiracies and podcasts and everything, because I want to hear people's stories and what brought them into this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I would look into everything I just mentioned, bro. Like,
Yeah,
tell
definitely
me this.
am.
Have you, there's multiple stories, bro, across the map when I look into it, right? About women literally in their trimester about to give birth or not. Sometimes not even, but they, and sometimes it's not a good thing. Sometimes it is, apparently. But, yeah, my mom felt like this was a force to be reckoned with, almost like a God-given something. She said that's how that feeling that came across her body
Mhm.
was at total peace. She felt like she was with God at one point.
Right. And in your
So, bro,
opinion, what do you?
our creators, and I don't know, man. I feel like they pick and choose. They may do this. They may not do this to every woman, but look into it, bro. You're gonna fucking find many stories across the board about what I just mentioned. And when my mom told me this, my guy, you got to look in my face as a guy that's been just thinking about crazy things like this. Well, I call them
Yeah.
crazy, but they're normal now. When she told me that, I'm like, all right, all right, yeah, this universe has a lot more to it, and I'm not gonna believe the trusting words that our government continuously pours out, and
Right.
what we've been taught in school. I mean, Henry Ford literally started the first civilized textbooks, and they were all based on 9 to 5 and almost slavery.
Right. Yeah. The
I
40-hour
mean,
work week.
I'm telling you, bro, there's some shit, dude. And then how there's almost maybe 1,000 years missing from our entirety, where apparently we're, I don't know if you heard about this, but we should be in the year 1025,
Yeah,
right?
we're behind. Yeah, we're way behind.
Well, apparently I don't know why, but we're calling it 2024, 25.
Yeah, like we're calling it this, but we're actually far behind. Is Yeah, they hit a
Yes,
lot.
yeah, apparently we should be at 1,025. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I heard some pretty interest. I've been researched some pretty interesting ones that like that's what the world wars were actually about. Were to erase history, um, were to
What?
destroy a lot of.
I didn't know that. Tell me what?
Yeah, I started looking into it. I heard a guy talking about it, and then I don't know, I kind of pieced this together. And yeah, so the world wars were basically to destroy history and destroy the towns that had, you look where a lot of the battles and stuff were fought, there was a lot of history in those towns, and they were pretty much wiped out and rebuilt. You know,
Oh,
I have this talk a lot with a lot of people, like when they burnt the Roman libraries, right? Imagine how much stuff was lost. Like the Romans were so advanced, but when it was burnt, it sent them way back to where they were back to just dark ages where they didn't have anything, and they had so much in the Romans, running water, hot water, all these different things. And then they burnt the library and everything was gone. but I don't know if those textbooks were actually gone or they hid them.
Yeah.
Which,
Well, I think they've hit a lot. Apparently, there's a part in the Bible that explains a lot about what you're just talking about. Um, so it leads me to believe what the fuck is really going on. Um, like how much history has been hidden. Whenever the Pope was just recently elected, the similarities between Leo and what they were supposed to like this apparently this was meant to be the last pope before we received notice from the Antichrist.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I read a little bit into that, and I was like, oh man, that's intense. I mean, if you look at it, and then if you look at the way the other pope died, and that you can see the video that they open the doors, and that one guy comes out, and he looks terrified. Like, I mean, if you
I
go into
mean, it's
the Vatican and their dark history and all the stuff that they're actually into and what they stand for, it gets. I mean, it makes sense, you know. But yeah,
it's weird stuff, man. I mean, but also it's interesting because there's more community that's talking about it. Makes me feel better. You know,
mhm.
uh,
Yeah,
I guess not feel better, but feel a little bit more in the right. Like, okay, let me go ahead and continuously think what I'm thinking.
right. Yeah, and I don't feel like we're wrong in the way we're thinking. We're definitely right, and I just wish more people would think the way we are. And I think more people are waking up to it, but it's just going to take time. I think more people are going to have to see it.
Yeah, imagine growing up with somebody that wasn't like my mom or somebody probably not like your family. Maybe your family was open to it. Maybe they weren't, which
Oh,
led you to be more rebellious.
my family wasn't at all. So
There we go. So
yeah,
mine just listens. Mine heard it and like put it in one ear and out the other. I wasn't
yeah.
being ridiculed. But if you're getting ridiculed, there's even a more enticement to just follow what the brainwashing TV mind and narrative of the Western civilization has tried to do for the last 80 years.
No, yeah, they want to control everything. But I think a lot of it is like it's the generation before us, the what are the baby boomers. They they're 100% we trust the government. What the government says goes, you know, it doesn't matter. And it's
It's
like there's
tough,
no
man.
way you cannot trust the government that much. I mean, if you look at everything they've done, I got a buddy, I'm hoping to have him come on, but you know, and tell the story and how he tells it. But he basically says that he worked with this guy when he was overseas, and the guy basically told him, you know, think of the worst thing in the world that you could do to somebody. And he's like, okay. And he goes, your government's done that 10 times over. And this guy was like way up there. And yeah, it was a pretty, and I was like, whoa. And he was like, yeah. And it's just one of those things, you know, it's like, I mean, I really started getting into it with the books I read, like Behold a Pale Horse, you know, Holy Blood, Holy Grail, and all these different books on like the Masons and stuff like that.
What
And
other book have you? Man, you know what? I need to take a little bit of a deeper dive on some books. What book have you been reading?
I just got Alex Jones's two books. Um, but I read Behold a Pale Horse, Holy Blood, Holy Grail, and the Masonic Legacy, I think is what it's called. I'll have to go look at it. I'll send you pictures of it whenever we get off here of the three that I got for sure. Yeah,
Perfect,
but
brother. I just wanted to mention, man, like any kind of notice on books or anything, man, fill me in. I wish you. Do you have like an online page or anything?
no, I don't have any that I've read online, but I'm gonna post them with this episode when I do the description. I'll post the ones that I've read so people can read them and they can go out and get them just so
Yeah.
they can see themselves. Um, just because it's like I tell people, do your own research. You know, if you don't want to listen to us or you think that conspiracy theorists or truth seekers are crazy, then do your own research and figure it out for yourself. You know, make your own decision in it.
I mean, dude, I recently I had a pretty big feud with it was somebody, I forgot what it was, but I found out, hey, just whatever. People think what they want to think. But it was celebrities, right? And kind of like the worship that's going on and what what how much Satanism is being portrayed in our in our in our
Oh
social
yeah,
media and everything and everything. It's like, I'm not against it and I'm not for it. I'm
Mhm.
very neutral because I used to just not care at all. But now,
Right.
no, I do see the narrative that's being portrayed and just really how much Christianity or any kind of sense of good is being taken. Just, you know, like it's not being allowed, bro. And it's sad. It's like, no wonder why there's so many depressed individuals, people that just feel like they don't have any purpose in life. They're not,
Yeah.
they're not able, they're not even able to see, programming that's positive. They don't know it, but they're being programmed over these fucking last 25, 30, fucking 40 years, however old somebody is. But man, I'm just glad I had to I had to reprogram my whole vision. You know,
Yeah.
I did. At what age did you?
I was like 21. About Yeah, I was 21 when it happened. 2012. So yeah, 21, 22.
Yeah, I mean, around that time, man, a lot of people say they feel like they just skipped dimensions.
Yeah, that's when I feel like right. That's when it all sort of came out. But that's when I started realizing like stuff didn't sit right with me, and I really started seeing these people as like who they were and these celebrities. And they all kind of started talking about the same thing, and and that's when I started um, noticing patterns. Like these people would get famous, but they would always lose somebody close to them: mom, dad, brother, sister, cousin, whatever was close to them, right? Whether it be actors, singers, whatever. And then I started reading into blood sacrifices or the I forget the funeralistic sacrifices where they make them have sex in a coffin at midnight with the same sex on certain
Oh, I didn't
full
even know
moon. Is
that. I didn't even know all that, man.
Yeah, it's a
Gosh.
I forget it's a ritualistic sex magic type thing they make them do. I forget which. It's a different part of the Illuminati. They make them do that, but yeah, man, and that's what kind of dropped me into it. And then I really started looking at how evil the things were, and like these people, I don't even think they're humans half the time. But once you give up your soul, I feel like you're allowing these entities in. You're not human anymore. You don't care about anybody anyway.
They're not. They're not. Yeah, they're allowing those entities in. You repeated the words I just said earlier in life. I was talking about a certain Houston artist. I don't even want to name her name because it's just I don't even want to give it that energy. But I think you know what
Yeah,
I'm talking about. Her and her husband,
yeah,
right? and 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 you know, the last word of her old group rhymes with wild.
yeah,
You know, you know.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that person that literally has came out on stage and has publicly said, I allow a dark entity, and the dark entity she allows in is like some
Mhm.
African entity that it's a witch. So, that's kind of what and I didn't realize it till I really grew up and started looking, man. It's all around us. No wonder why I was so rebellious and against what I wanted. Until I started thinking for myself, I started realizing, okay, I want better.
Mhm.
I want better for myself. You know?
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people get stuck on those those programs that's being repeatedly programmed to us. And they can't think for themselves anymore, man.
No, definitely not.
Now,
And it's force fed to you. A lot of that stuff is, and you're forced to like these celebrities and these things, and it goes back to just recently the trend with them all thinking that same artist, that same woman from Houston, and for what reason? Why are they all thinking her? It trips you out.
yes. What I want to do, bro, is just kind of link back up with you, man. Text me whenever, and we'll get on another one.
Yeah, we'll definitely have a part two, man. I appreciate you coming on tonight, though.
I want you to let me know what you next time, bro. Just what you think about what I even mentioned. Maybe, I mean, was any of that new to you? Some of that or
Yeah,
no?
yeah, I've never heard of that. I'm gonna look into it for sure.
Yeah, yeah. When you replay this, hopefully it kind of resonates. Man, I'm glad I caught you. Definitely want to get back in touch. We should probably link up. Text me.
Oh, we definitely will, brother.
Have a good one, man. Thanks.
You too. Later.